As it's harvest time, Lucy Siegel will be out on the farms for us over the next few days. She's in Norfolk to see how they're coping with one of the worst years of bad weather on record. So how's it looking out there today, Lucy?
Pretty good, actually. We've had really good weather today, which is great because it's allowed the farmer here, Nigel Stangroom, and his team of 11 to make up some ground on what's been a very difficult harvest period. Now, they specialise in herbs here. These are chives, and they've actually harvested 8 times this amount today, which is great. Those are being dried now. To do this, they work very hard. They get up very early. They don't mind that. But what's difficult for them, and farmers everywhere, is obviously the unpredictability of the weather, but also the unpredictability of us as consumers. What do we want? When do we want it? Take a look at this. So how do the supermarkets make sure that the shelves are stocked with the fresh produce that we want, when we want, come rain or shine? This is the daily planning meeting at Morrison's headquarters in Bradford, where the weather forecasts are analysed and acted on.
Looking at the weather forecast for the back end of this week, temperatures are still strong, so we're looking at potentially 26, 27 degrees down south.
How quickly?
Andrew Garton is the Director of Produce and Horticulture.
We work really closely with a weather organisation that gives us information daily, weekly and monthly. Our buying teams will be talking to growers from 6:30 every morning in the UK to work out what's happening in their area.
Is there a precise temperature at which certain products fly out the door?
Brits thinks when it gets to 18 degrees and they've all got their shorts on that summer's arrived, and that generally tends to be a temperature whereby we see this switch from your potatoes, your carrots, your broccoli to cucumbers, tomatoes, strawberries, or soft fruits become bought in abundance. An average week, let's say 200,000 to 300,000 iceberg lettuces, and when the sun comes out we can sell up to 600,000 and 700,000.
So if they reckon they'll need more salad on the shelves here, the message comes through here to get cutting.
We get a massive spike here when the sun comes out. It puts a lot of pressure on all areas of the business, from the harvesting side, the growing side, and right the way through to the distribution network.
I mean, these guys are going pretty fast. Presumably they can't go any faster than this.
There is surplus harvesters to cope with spikes in their sales, but these guys, they will have a little bit of notice. Ourselves will know that we're looking at the weather patterns of it's coming warmer, sales going to start to increase. We look at where we can move people around the farm from certain areas to where the peak production is going to be.
Producers only receive the orders from the supermarkets the night before. Then at first light, pickers are dispatched to cut over 5,000 lettuces each a day. They are packed in the field and on the supermarket shelves within 24 hours. On a sunny day, this can lead to an increased order of 60%. Excessive wind and rain are what farmers dread, so Chris Makin leaves nothing to chance. His 3 million strawberry plants are lined up in polytunnels on more than 200 miles of shelving. But the crop still needs one more vital ingredient.
The sunlight is what we need to make the crop ripe, and we cannot control that, and that's put us behind this year by 21 days, and that's what's delayed the season.
And what is it like when you don't get the summer that you expect? Terrible. As a grower?
Terrible, because we can close the doors, we can do everything, but the customer's shouting for the fruit. We want the fruit, and we're doing everything we possibly can.
What would I see if a strawberry being affected by the weather conditions?
That's a typical example of a misshape was there.
Which people are not going to buy, are they?
Of course not.
In one season, Chris will produce 1,500 tonnes of strawberries. That's more than the weight of 100 double-decker buses. But even then, sometimes it's not enough. So how do you deal with the stress, when the supermarkets are on the phone and go, we want more, we want them now?
Well, I always give them a ring and I say, if you can, we got me the telephone number for God, we'll have a word with him, send us a bit more sunshine, and then we can produce you a few more.
This feast or famine nature of the business leads to a headache for produce specialist Adrian Ford, who needs to change the store to suit the stock.
With the British weather, we have to be flexible in stores and change at short notice. Or for example, if a farmer had a glut of produce that we need to sell quickly, we have to be able to move things onto the promotional ends.
The unpredictability of the weather, demand and supply leads to a fine balancing act for the supermarkets.
Customers fundamentally make their minds up of what they want to buy in our shops, but it's how we get those crops as quickly as possible to meet the demands of our customer, which can be up or down depending upon the weather.
So the next time you decide to buy a melon because it's warm or a cabbage because it's turned cool, bear in mind that the supermarket probably knew what you were going to buy a few days before you did.
Just incredible, isn't it? And we'll have more from Lucy on the farm with the biggest amount of parsley that you will ever witness.
I didn't know there was that much parsley in the world.
Well, there you go. Anyway, now earlier on we saw Lucy Seagull on Hamrow Farm in Norfolk, and she's spending today and tomorrow seeing how Britain's farms are coping with this crazy weather that we've had throughout 2012.
Yes, this morning she saw just how much one farm can produce in only a few hours.
It's sunrise on a beautiful Norfolk morning, but on Hamrow Farm, the drought to flood conditions experienced this year haven't made obtaining a good crop easy. Good morning.
Good morning, Lucy.
Good morning, Nigel. Hello. It's beautiful here, isn't it? It's very pretty.
You've got a field of mint just over here that we'd like to look at and see if that's ready to harvest. All right?
Yeah, but it's just gone 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I know, but you know,
already
we must get on.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's very early. From mint to parsley and sugar beet to chives, it's this diversity that has helped Nigel weather a downturn in farming fortunes. But the crops can't be picked at any time of the day, you know. Well, so the mint's obviously not ready, so what do we do now?
No, well, we'll obviously have to wait for the sun to come out and burn the moisture off. So what we'll do is we'll go and cut some chives.
Jason Mitchell has worked on Hamrow Farm for 5 years.
Yes, we're going to cut some chives.
Nice, so off you go.
The herb crop represents around 50% of Nigel's income. The farm has 15 hectares of its land sectioned for mint crops and 6 hectares for chives.
Sometimes we have to run 24 hours a day basically because it's such a bad spring, and we've got to get certain crops in before they go over the top and start to rot in the soil.
So this is the dryer, is it, Paul?
Yes, if you press
This one?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
When the chive crop is ready, several loads are cut, collected and dried throughout the day. I think that was a job very well done. I'm going to go and relax, have a cup of tea.
Lucy, the mint's ready. Would you like to come and help me do some of that now?
Spoke too soon.
I've just checked the mint.
Yes.
And as you can see here, when you rub your hand through it now, your hand is not getting wet.
It's completely dry.
Yeah, and then when I squeeze it, there's no water coming out of it at all. So that's
We're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Nigel's mint and chive crops are only a small part of the challenge he faces when it comes to harvest time. There's a lot more to do, and the work's only just begun.
Well, Lucy is back live on the farm now with that enormous crop that we promised you earlier.
Yes, I just wanted to show you what 50 tonnes of dried parsley looks like. This is it. Amazing. And this is Nigel's barn, or one of them. Now, you were harvesting chives today, weren't you, Nigel?
Yeah.
Did you get this much? Did you get this amount?
No, we did about 1,250 kilos today, so obviously this would take about 40 days' work to dry.
Yes, but still a respectable amount you're pleased with today.
Yeah, we're quite pleased with that. It's been a nice day and we've got on quite well.
Good, because what has your harvest been like generally?
Pretty challenging.
I knew you were going to say that, yes. Oh, we just emerged into the sunlight. We're going to meet Nigel's lovely family in a second. So it's been challenging, but have you lost crops?
Oh yes, we've lost crops because we haven't had the sunlight that we'd hoped for and an awful lot of inclement weather.
Now, we've had farmers, you know, we've had to bring in 1,000 tonnes of potatoes into the UK this year because farmers haven't been able to dig them up. Are you worried you're going to lose out to foreign imported herbs?
Well, I hope not, because most of my customers are very local and most of the product we're delivering to them within an hour or so.
Oh, you can't compete with that. That's brilliant. Oh, look, here is our dried chive here that you got today.
Yeah.
How much is this worth?
I would say about £50.
Okay, I'll stop throwing it all over the place. Thank you very much, Nigel. Just a quick word to Vicky, Nigel's wife. Vicky, what is it like for you during the harvest?
It can be quite a lonely time. Most farmers' wives will tell you that you're pretty much a single parent during the harvest season.
And it's a long harvest season for herbs, isn't it?
It is, yes, it is. It's right from the end of May to November.
Oh dear. And what about you, Sophie and Charlie? Do you miss your dad when he's harvesting?
Yeah.
Oh, well, soon you'll be old enough to help him. Yes, that would be brilliant. Listen, thank you to you all for showing me around today in one of the busiest periods of the entire year. Now, tomorrow night I will be in another Norfolk farm. It belongs to Algie and he is Nigel's closest neighbour. We'll be looking at his harvest for barley and wheat. When I say closest neighbour, it's actually 9 miles in that direction. So I'd better get a move on. Bye! Bye! Bye, Liz!
Yes,
Bye.
we will catch.
Now, yesterday, Lucy Seagull spent the day on a farm in Norfolk. Today, she's been on the farm next door. Are you there, Lucy?
I am. I'm in a barn on a Norfolk farm, and this is a mountain of wheat. This is 800 tonnes of wheat, to be precise, and it's been harvested so far this year at this farm that belongs to Algie Garrett. Come in. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us. Now, this to me looks spectacular. A huge amount of wheat. You, however, Algie, are disappointed.
Lucy, with the finish of the wheat harvest, we shouldn't be standing here. The boards should be up, the doors should be shut, this should be overflowing with wheat.
So we shouldn't even be in here, really. We shouldn't be able to get in here.
No.
And I'm guessing that if you think the barn is not full, then your coffers are not full either.
We're missing £40,000 of wheat here.
Oh, so you look in here and you think I'm missing 40,000 quid, basically?
No, I try not to look in here.
Oh no, not good. That's very sobering indeed. But it's not all bad news for Algie, because he's a clever man, hasn't put all his eggs in one basket. He's diversified, and we'll be back here later to look at some of the crops that he has harvested so far this year, and one particular crop that we think is rather special. So we'll see you then.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Incredible.
Algie.
I know.
Yeah, and how?
It's awful,
It
isn't
is. It's happening right across the country as well. And Algie's bad wheat harvest is a common picture all over the country, and it could have a knock-on effect for all of us.
Yeah, Simon Bozeman reports on why this year's weather could see a rise in the price of bread.
Normally this time of year would see us well into our harvest season, but many fields are still eerily untouched.
The unpredictable weather this summer hasn't just put a dampener on things for us, it's pretty much put the entire harvest on hold.
2012 has had one of the coldest and wettest summers ever, and that kind of weather plays havoc with our nation's crops. Andrew Tetlow is an Essex farmer who grows around 5,000 acres of wheat for biscuits, breakfast cereals and bread. All the time it's raining, his combine is stuck in the shed.
It woke up this morning and it was raining again, so we haven't actually achieved anything today. So, for the last few weeks when we've been trying to combine, this is what it's been like every day.
Andrew's crop balances on a fine line between success and failure.
If it stays wet for long enough, the little berries here, as you can see here, they will start to sprout and grow, and that's where we lose all the quality. So little shoots will appear from here. Well, we've spent a lot of money on this to produce good quality milling wheat, but if it stays wet and it starts to grow, then we lose all the quality, and all it's useful for is just chicken feed, really.
After raining all night, a break in the showers and the possibility of even a couple of hours of sunshine is too good an opportunity to miss.
The sun's out, the wind has blown, so give it another hour and we'll give it a go and just see if we can actually manage to cut a bit.
Every dry day counts this year, so farmers like Andrew are harvesting while the wheat is still relatively wet in an attempt to get something into the stores. Philip Dark runs Camgrain, a cooperative storage and distribution centre for 500 local farms. The main problem that he's seeing is disease caused by the wet weather.
So there's no weight in them. If you put your fingernail through them, you'll see you'll just crunch through it and there's nothing there.
And what does this?
That is the bad weather and disease. There's no weight in it, so it's got no value. 8 weeks ago, we looked like we're on for a huge harvest and the crops look fantastic. And the farmers have been struggling, really since March, and it started to rain, to keep control of disease. So yields are down, without a doubt. They were looking at very big yields, now they're not. It's meant the country has got really tight for wheat supply because harvest has moved back a couple of weeks.
Will the viewers of the One Show see any difference this year in their prices for bread?
Oh yeah, bound to.
We know wet wheat won't sell, but there is a solution.
Now, in the olden days it rained, your wheat got wet and that was it. But now, with technology, farmers can pay just a few pounds to put their wheat through massive dryers like this, raising up the quality and getting a slightly better return.
It might cost Andrew £2 or £3 a tonne in drying costs, but that's nothing to the £40 a tonne he'd lose if his wheat failed. On fields potentially yielding 16,000 tonnes, the difference would be catastrophic. It's crunch time. Has Andrew's wet weather gamble paid off?
So here we are, we've got our farmer's grain. Now let's see if it makes the grade. Here you go, Nally.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. What is it testing?
It's testing the elasticity of the flour, the level of starch and enzyme activity within the crop.
That's key for baking bread, is it?
And absolutely, it will determine whether the bread will rise and stay risen, or whether it will rise up and then flop down again. Okay, so we're just past the magic 250 mark there, Simon.
So that's a good day then?
Yeah, farmer will be happy with that, absolutely. But he'll be happy with that, that's a very good crop.
That extra drying appears to have paid off. Andrew's grain gets top marks and can be sold on at full price to bakeries. thousands of farmers across the country are still crossing their fingers for more dry days.
This summer has been a frustrating one for farmers. Further rain actually could spell even more trouble, but their ability to adapt has meant that we should keep bread on our tables. It might be that we just have to pay a little bit more for it.
So worth it though.
Oh.
Nothing nicer than fresh bread.
Absolutely, yeah.
Time to go back now to Lucy on the farm in Norfolk.
Yes, still down on the farm, and work continues as the farmers really try and make up some ground on harvest, because as we know, the weather has been terrible and it's affected farmers all around the country. It has been an enormously tough harvest, just to put that into perspective. This time last year, 70% of the UK's whole wheat harvest, this is wheat behind me, had been brought in. This year it's just 25%, so massive discrepancy. If you look at barley, 15% of the barley harvest is in. Last year it was nearly half. So, you know, quite a struggle for farmers in different parts of the country. I'm in Norfolk. On the east coast it's been very dry today, it's been really good weather, and they've had 2 weeks of reasonable weather, which they consider a lifeline because they've been able to make up some ground with a lot of hard work. So the farm I'm on today has been able to harvest some crops. This is how we got on today. Algie Garrett's family have been on their farm for 3 generations, and today starts with a family breakfast. Oh, quite a civilised start to the day. Very important to get a cup of tea and a slice of toast in though, because we've got a lot of work to do. On his 1,000 acres, Algie grows a diverse selection of crops, including something you might not expect: birdseed. So what crops do you grow to put in the birdseed?
We grow a mixture of seeds: canary seed, we grow red and white millet, black sunflower, a little bit of wheat, and also we cut some maize to incorporate in the mix.
Why do you put so much in it? It sounds like these birds are incredibly well fed.
Different bird species like different seeds, so it suits all.
And how do you stop the birds from helping themselves?
This seed head represents my worst nightmare. Birds will just sit on the top here and help themselves. We use various methods of deterring them, from gas guns to kites and active fathers who scare the birds away.
You're talking about your dad?
Yes.
Like his fellow arable farmers, Algie's wheat crop took a battering this year, but he got round that by replacing part of it with more versatile barley.
Cereals represent the largest percentage of our area.
And how's the harvesting of this barley? How's that going?
There's a small issue with green straw.
Why is it green?
I think it's probably a ramification of all the wet weather we had. That's imparting moisture into the straw. It then becomes more difficult to separate the grain from the straw. We've got above average yields in the spring barley with great quality. The field next door, which was wheat, was a disastrous yield.
So over there disaster, over here good.
Yeah, for once spring barley has out-yielded my wheats.
Algie and his family have a growing farm shop where they are able to sell directly to the public. Birdseed, fresh corn on the cob, and one other very special treat is on their menu. And that surprise is popcorn. Yes, Algie has a huge popcorn cooker. I'm going to put these on as a precaution, lots of hot oil. Algie, you're an arable farmer. Why are you making popcorn?
Popcorn is a grain crop. We grow grain, so I thought, why not?
So that's maize that you're popping.
It's special maize.
Special maize that you grow here. Do your fellow farmers think you're a bit eccentric for doing this?
Mildly strange.
But you rather like it, don't you?
It's good fun. Farming can be quite lonely when you're on the tractor. This is different. I get to meet the public, I can sell my product directly, and it's great fun. The kids love it.
And so you've got big ambitions for this popcorn. It's not just a bit of fun, it's not a hobby.
No, I would love to see this sold across the UK, and who knows, one day we might sell some to Uncle Sam.
Right, sell to America, so that's like the definition of Coles to Newcastle, isn't it really? Very, very good. Okay, so in a minute, as that cooks, we're hoping it's going to look great and we can tip it out and have a look at that.
Yeah, it's just about to start going now.
It's really going to go off in a minute, isn't it? Now, is this something that you think is a serious part of your business that will help you? We've talked about all the problems with the harvesting and the weather. Could this actually become a really core part of your business that would help you balance the books, really?
Yes, we can add value to this. It's all about selling directly to the customer. We get a larger proportion of the final price. and we can guarantee quality. We know where it comes from. We use cold pressed rapeseed oil, which is locally grown, British sugar,
Okay,
British salt.
it's really starting to pop now. Let's go for this. Let's go for this. I want to bring in two of your helpers quickly while you're doing that.
It's gonna be
Amy and
about
Annabelle,
20
quickly
seconds
come
now.
in. Quickly come in. Your daddy makes lots of products. Turn round for me, darling. Your daddy makes lots of products. Which one do you like best, the bird seed or the popcorn?
Definitely popcorn.
Yes, I knew that was going to happen. Do you actually like popcorn?
Yeah, we love it.
Yes?
Yeah.
And do you think it's fun that Daddy does this?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And what is the harvest like? What is it like when he's harvesting? He's working very hard.
It's good fun because we get to go on the tractors and that sort of thing. So
Marvellous,
brilliant.
marvellous. So you're like keen farmers yourself?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes?
Yeah.
Annabelle? Yes? Okay, are we almost ready to eat some of this popcorn? Girls, stand to the side. We're going to do what I like to call the Norfolk popcorn tip. Okay, let's go.
Okay, we ready,
3,
Lucy?
2, 1. This
Here
is
we
very
go.
exciting. Woo! And you know the best thing is, Algie, we'd like to try some as soon as you're ready, please, because
Ready
this
to
is
go. Here we go.
This is the best part for me.
Fresh local popcorn.
Okay, this is fresh popcorn
Here we go.
from Norfolk. Delicious.
Here we
I've
go.
definitely got the best gig. Back to you.
Oh, yeah. That was,
Jealous.
the pressure was on there, wasn't it?
She's not
Nick?
sharing, is she? Who needs Vegas when you've got popcorn here?
A bowl of that would be lovely now, wouldn't it?